Hello and welcome to Funny Science Fiction, the live edition. All right, welcome to Funny Science Fiction, the live edition, the podcast that makes you feel like a one-finned goldfish in a large aquarium.
Still muted.
You're still muted, Nick. There
My
you go.
bad. And before we get into tonight's show, we need to say thanks to our show partners, River City Tees and Level Up Lightsabers.
All right, you guys know what that means? Video time. First,
Here we go.
River City Tees.
With over 700 designs to choose from, River City Tees has something for everyone. Need some new nerd merch? River City Tees has you covered. Need funny or sarcastic designs? River City Tees has you covered. Are you looking for a new logo or custom design? Whether you need 1 or 100, River City Tees has you covered. With multiple colors and options for each and every design. With things to choose from like shirts, hoodies, phone cases, coffee mugs, and so much more. Be sure to follow River City Tees on Facebook and Instagram. If you do, you'll get the latest on designs and information about upcoming sales. River City Tees. Let's make a shirt together.
Can I just say, I love how excited you sound with the "let's make a shirt together." It makes me happy every time.
I try.
All right, that was one of our show sponsors. Next up, Level Up Lightsabers.
Oh.
Eventually. All right, and you know the rest of it. It's in the show links. It's in the comments. Eventually, when Tim pushes buttons,
They're in there. They're in there. I lost track of my place where I was at in the whole list of videos that we have set up in the brand section.
Universe and everything.
It's Nick made me laugh. I lost my spot. It's Nick's fault. I blame him.
It's
What
a
did I
Monday.
do?
I don't know. Whatever you said before, it made me laugh, and I started giggling, and then I looked down and I lost my space.
Level Up
So-
Lightsabers. Oh. Yeah,
that was it. That's it. It was the.
You threw
All
it.
right.
You messed with his groove.
I try to.
Hey, you did a good job. You did good. All right, and we want to remind you, please take a moment to subscribe to our show if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, please go to our channel on YouTube and do the whole click like and subscribe. So if you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on Twitch, go to YouTube. It's better. Anyway, your subscription
It's
there
still
helps
the same
us a ton.
show.
It's the same show.
The
It's
content doesn't improve.
No, the content is still subpar, but still on some levels it's it's still us. But yeah, if you go to YouTube, click the like and subscribe. Your subscription helps us grow, helps us be able to attract more people to join us here on our show. And if for whatever reason you would like to help us create content and be able to afford to create content, you can of course always buy us a coffee at the link that is being uploaded into the chat right now. That one right there. You see the one that just popped up on your screen? Yeah, you can buy us a coffee there. It's a cheap way to invest in funny science fiction.
Plus, Kathleen needs a raise, so.
A raise would be fantastic.
I just want to say, if she gets a raise, I get a raise. That's all. This is how this works.
I think we all get a raise if she
I
gets
think
a raise.
any of us have to be paid for any of us to get a raise.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that would be nice.
So buy us coffee, lots
Yeah,
of
buy-
them, so that we start paying ourselves.
Lots and lots of coffee. And good evening, Mr. John Wass. Good evening, y'all.
Look at that! It's our biggest fan.
I can't afford coffee. How about a whiskey instead?
Yes,
If you
please.
can
I'm right here. Bring it.
Okay. The only concern I have with this is, what whiskey are you drinking that's cheaper than coffee?
Maker's Mark.
Mm-mm.
No, Maker's Mark is not cheap.
It's not cheap even.
That's like Elijah Hill or something.
Okay, but if you compare like this to if you compare the ounce amount, I don't know.
I mean, this is coffee. I'm drinking coffee.
I think
right there.
honestly he's drinking other people's whiskey.
That's fair. That's
That
probably
makes it cheaper.
that's my favorite whiskey. My favorite bourbon is other people's bourbon.
Exactly.
Always
Best
tastes
drinks are
good.
Always from somebody else's reserve. Our poor guests. We have guests, guys.
We should probably
Well,
bring those guests in.
tonight. We welcome author Mike Figliola. La? Did I say that
Figliola.
right?
We probably should have, make sure that Nick knew how to pronounce
Well,
Mike's
it's
name
not-
before we brought him into the show.
You got it all spelled out there.
All right, we'll bring in Mike anyway. Hi, Mike.
Hi, I'm Figliola. It's
Okay.
me. You can call me Fig. That's totally fine. Whatever you guys. Whatever you're
Mike
comfortable.
Figs. That's right.
Yes. How you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Good, Mike.
Thank you for having me. I love being
Yeah,
here. You guys are great.
Glad to have you on.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean that one? Ta-da.
Haha.
Pop Culture Addicts. All right. Who else we got
Double
there,
dipping
Nick?
on the YouTube.
And we also have Ben Reilly, the Hardy Healer from TikTok.
Whoop whoop.
Hey, Ben, welcome back.
Hello. How's it going?
Good. Hello.
Owen. It's
At least it
It's
should be hello there.
Hello there.
I'm not
Hello.
wearing the proper attire.
Oh,
For a proper hello there.
we've already
Next time.
had train whistle sounds in my background, so it might be a literal train wreck tonight. We will find out.
I haven't heard him.
It was like as soon as the theme music started, it was the
Oh,
"Ooh,"
okay.
like,
Well, yeah, everybody's mics are muted during the
Yeah.
The video play, so I didn't hear it. So that's
Yeah,
probably
that's when all the
better.
whiskey was going down, Tim. That's when when the mics are muted. Ben and
Dang
I
it.
were hitting the whiskey.
Sad face. I wish I was hitting some whiskey. All right. So hey, before we get started on to much of anything, Mike, take a couple minutes and tell everybody about your book, The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue, if you would, please.
Yeah, thank you again for that. So I wrote a book. It's about Queens, New York. This is it right here. It's a paperback. You can get it on Barnes and Noble. You can get it on Amazon and actually a couple local bookstores in New York and across the country. Believe it or not, actually I saw it in Thailand or Korea or something. It was weird. It was really, I don't know how it got there. I didn't send it, but it was really really cool to have that experience. But so it's a book set in Queens about, I wanted to write about regular people, and the book is focused on regular folks, people who take the bus every day, butchers, cops, regular people, blue collar folks, which is where I'm from. And it goes into a day of their lives. It's probably not a day that most people experience. It's like a little more of the darker side of life. They're doing some drinking and hanging out in some seedy places, and it's a day in the life in that. But I wanted to capture a neighborhood scene, a neighborhood story, and neighborhood people. And that's basically. I don't want to give too much away. It's basically it's set in vignette form. So I was very inspired by Quentin Tarantino with Pulp Fiction, where he sort of did these a bunch of standalone stories that made up the whole.
Mhm.
And I kind of was influenced by that to make the structure of the book. But it's all about Queens and New York. But at the end of the day, I think I told you this on your other podcast, about the Pop Culture Addicts, is it's a neighborhood story that can translate anywhere. It doesn't have to be in New York. It could be anywhere. It's about people. It's about neighbors, and at the end of the day, it's really a story that I try to make authentic as possible, because that's where I'm from, Queens and New York.
Excellent.
quick
All right.
question.
Yeah.
Does it take place before New York was attacked in Avengers or after?
Oh, I probably when it was going on.
Oh,
I would say I think, like, the way these people are like drinking and hanging out and doing some crazy stuff, they probably don't care anymore. It's like, this world's ending anyway. So,
Right?
Chitauri flies overhead, and they're just like, "That's weird."
don't worry.
No, this
Let's
is
hit the pub.
It's
So,
New York.
Lem
They've
shawarmas
seen
are
weirder.
great.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
So if you're interested in finding out more about Mike, you can always go check him out. Look for his book, The Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue. You can also find the interview with him, hosted by Kathleen and I, on Pop Culture Addicts. We talk about his book. We talk about music. We talk about sports. We talk about, God, I don't know what we didn't talk about, to be honest with you. It was a pretty cool conversation.
Randomness, because
That's how I ended up here.
Yeah,
Everything I think
exactly.
about, like, led me to this.
There you go.
You know,
You might be rethinking that by the end of the night, but still, we're glad to have you here.
Well, I'm
excited.
excited.
That was a good thing.
Doctor Who ended up in there somewhere. I don't know.
Exactly. So
all
yeah,
types
very
of
random,
things.
very random conversation over on Pop
Yeah.
Culture Addicts. Very cool conversation.
Yes,
Uh,
indeed.
All right, Ben, welcome back. We glad to have you here. Take a minute, if you would, please, as well, and remind everybody where to find Ben Reilly, the Hardy Healer.
It is always wonderful being here. Love you guys. It's always great. You can find me on TikTok, where I'm currently going viral for a cosplay video I did. Might want to check that out. But yeah, TikTok at Hardy_Healer. I do a bunch of cosplay stuff, do a lot of ranting and weird things, and I'm working on some special stuff in the background to make even more stuff with. It's gonna be great.
He does some fun things where then suddenly his hands are on his head, and I know it's him just from the way that he holds his head.
How dare you?
So
The
one video of
say that it's a secret identity. God.
Shush. God, Kathleen. So no, the one video of yours I recently commented on where you did a bunch of different cosplays.
Mm-hmm.
The Assassin's Creed cosplay was really cool. That one got me. I was like, because I'd seen the Spider-Man one before, right? And I'd seen your Star Wars one before, and then all of a sudden here's Assassin's Creed. I'm like, ooh,
So
I know that.
I should play that game.
the thing with that, I built the hidden blade for that.
Ooh.
So I
It's cool.
designed it, custom ordered the pieces of metal to be cut to all get put together. Literally, as I was filming it, when you see me throw my hand out to activate the blade, the little pull string snapped.
Oh no!
That was a really bad day for me, and I was filming that to be like, you know what? I want to do something productive, something fun. There might have been a lot of expletives off camera when the metal wire that it activated the blade just goes ping.
So is it like guitar string? Because when those things snap, that sucks.
Yes, luckily the shirt I had all those frills, but there is a noticeable slash across the shirt there. So if I didn't have it, I would have a very nice cut of my hand.
Yes, you would.
But yeah,
That makes that video
if you
that
watch
much
the
more
video,
interesting.
you can actually see that
Huh.
instead of because it's supposed to be like an assassin ring.
Right.
Instead of the ring, it's just a white string that I had to wrap around and hold to get it to work. And then I activated it, and there's a little push thing to pull the blade back in, and it didn't go in all the way. So you see me cover it with my hand, and then I go into the next pose because I
that's
was
funny.
not doing that again.
I have to say something just real quick. So based on John's last two comments, I think number one, I need to get him more whiskey.
Probably
Make that
better
happen.
whiskey.
And then once we have established the whiskey, I'm going to find out what all this part is about.
Oh, it's dangerous. It's dangerous is what that's about.
We're going to find out John's creative process.
There's usually fire involved in it too.
This could be
Yeah, that
interesting.
makes sense.
I mean,
I get
I have helped him set at least. Well, I've only helped him set one guitar on fire.
Only one.
Only one. That's
Only one.
got to get those numbers up there, you know.
We do. I did, however, take the guitar that I found on the street and turn it into a lamp. It's a very cool lamp.
I thought you were gonna
There you
say
go.
you just took it and just.
This went from Beavis and Butthead to Daria. You know, just burning everything, and then now Daria's making lamps out of the guitars and stuff.
I mean, I also just
Nice.
recently got a guitar that I need to get new strings for.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, we had El Kabong still on TV. I don't know if anyone remembers that,
No,
but every
No,
time
I don't.
it wasn't part of Looney Tunes. It was Looney Tunes adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, anthropomorphic animal that it's a parody of Zorro, where instead of jumps into a back alley, comes out as Zorro, they come out as El Kabong, where they have a guitar that they just beat people with.
Yep.
Oh,
Every time he runs out and just goes,
I don't know this
El
one.
Kabong! And just
Really?
Making
with a guitar.
making notes. El Kabong. Gotta look that one up. All right.
Oh
So,
my god, I
looking
love
it
that
up-
show so much for no reason other than
'Cause
just
it was
screaming El
funny.
Kabong and then hitting something.
so looking it up, I do remember it and recall its images. Just
It is
Didn't
one of
know
those
that's
things
what
that,
it
like,
was.
once it's brought back to you, you're like, wait a minute. I vaguely remember this. Tim's like, nope. I have no memory of this place.
I could see the gears working in Mike's head, just like, how do I...
I was watching Dungeons and Dragons when I was growing up, man. I don't know about you guys. 1983 and 84, man, that was my thing. And then it went into Fraggle Rock and some crazy.
Ooh,
But
Fraggle
I
Rock.
wish they reboot that Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, and not to make too much of a tangent and go to 80s cartoons, but that was a real good one.
Oh,
El Kabong!
Oh, wait a minute. I know that.
See? Everyone does know it, but
Now I
vaguely.
know him. He hit
Yeah,
me
I didn't
Quick.
Oh,
recognize it
uh,
by name. Did not recognize by name. Recognized by picture.
by face. You're right. Exactly.
I'm a picture person. So yeah, that worked pretty well. Okay. Now I
Show
need to
made
watch more
no
of it.
sense.
but on Mike's tangent about Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. So growing up watching the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon is the same, like the Critical Role cast has that same sort of inspiration. So then they made Vox Machina as the adult version of the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
Preach, Kathleen. Preach.
Oh, it is so cool.
I have the Mighty 9 D20. I love it.
Yo, can I plug something? Level
Absolutely.
Up Dice. Go check out
Yes.
go check out Level Up Dice. Their
Yes.
dice is beyond. All right, so now
I
you know
love
I'm
them.
legit dork, right? It's over. So I mean,
Now,
I'm in. But
it-
Level Up Dice. Go check them out if you.
Hey
if
John,
you
we're
like
buying
Dungeons
more
and Dragons.
dice.
If you want to
I
talk
have
about...
the Amethyst version. Oh god,
Oh, God.
so freaking awesome.
I
Tim's
need-
like, I got
need
nothing
them,
over here.
But I have a like a double nerdy D&D thing. I'm
Yeah.
a dungeon master, and my dungeon master dice are the Infinity Stones.
That's
Get out of town.
fantastic.
So every time I roll something, I'm like,
Okay,
oh,
that
you're
part I
trying to
understood.
hit? Let's go with the Power Stone. Oh, you're trying to cast a spell? Let's go with Reality.
Love it.
That
Love
part
it.
I understood. The rest of it, you guys need to start using your Muggle words. But yeah, I get you.
Lucky dice.
I also have this, which this is probably like 5 pounds. Like, I don't know if you can hear this, but let's find out.
Yes.
Oh,
Rap.
Yeah, that sounds violent. Yeah.
I use this for death saves.
So does my husband.
I call it the last word because if you die in my game, you get a final thought and a
Yeah.
single word before you die.
My husband
that's
bought
why I
the Critical
call it
Role
that.
Mega D20. Actually, I think his inspiration was you to have the death dice.
Oh, it's
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we've talked about that before. You mentioned that before, but
probably.
I have little rubber
I
duckies.
think I mentioned it on the first time I was on the podcast.
quite
God,
potential.
why did I bring my dice? What am I should have.
It's
No, no,
really
no,
Let me go. I'll be right
That's my
back.
green screen. Like,
we have stuff to cover in this episode, but we don't
Nick,
care
where's your
anymore.
dice?
Eh,
I'm
Look.
sure it's back there by the lamp somewhere.
I don't know if
Look,
you could see that.
this
but
is
that
not the first
a-
time we've gone off on a tangent, Ben. It won't be the last either.
That is
I
a,
also have my barbarian dice.
that is a treasure chest back there. That is literally just to the brim with dice.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I am so bad when it comes to that. Thank you, John. Thank you.
I just have my Laura Bailey's dice bag of holding.
I have the same one. It has extra dice
bag
that
of
don't
holding,
fit in the
love
chest.
Yes.
I need a bigger treasure
Where
chest.
do I get the
And
bag of holding?
On Critical Role's website.
Okay, send it to me.
Yes.
Immediately?
I will send it.
Mike's like, link,
Let me link it.
please. Need
How
link.
did what podcast am I on? This is the wrong podcast.
All right, I think we've established that we're not talking about any of those other
Yeah,
things. So
yeah, what was the
I'm
other-
just
what
going
were
to
we
set
talking
the
about?
scene, and I need
I
everyone
just-
to roll for initiative.
I just want to say
Russell
that
Scott. I know Russell Scott.
Russell and I might have some fighting words here.
Yeah.
Got an 18, just in case anybody cares.
But-
Listen,
But I will give
literally-
it to him for this one. I will give it to him for that. If he didn't like it because it meant it was bedtime, I can totally accept that.
Okay,
Was it
'Cause-
7:00?
I was going to say,
I'm
I-
just saying,
I
just-
actually just rewatched the Muppet movie from 1979.
Uh-huh.
I forgot so much of that movie because the last time I saw it, I was probably like 10.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that movie so
good.
much.
So
there
good,
are
yeah.
so many, just like every
Magical
person
moments.
you
I know.
see
Yeah.
in that movie is a famous comedian who just
Oh, yeah.
walks in and you're just like, wait a minute, isn't that?
Isn't that
It's
one
so
guy
great.
from that one thing? Exactly.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I rolled a 1 on my initiative, so I'm
Oh,
out
okay.
of here.
Oh, you lose. I got an 18.
Give him the dice of doom.
So so there's
See
an
what you
episode.
get.
There's an episode on our show here that you guys got to check out. Actually, 2 that you guys might actually really like. So our second overall episode is with a guy named Guy Sklanders, and he has a YouTube channel called How to Be a Great GM. And Guy is well, first off, he's extremely funny, and he tells some really good stories in there and things that happened in games that he had put together and all this different type of stuff. But he talks about world building, game building, all that kind of stuff. You guys might actually really enjoy that. And then the other one, we talked with James M. Ward, I think it is James M. Ward, who
Yes.
worked alongside Gary Gygax with the building of Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff. And the monster draw midge is Jim Ward spelled backwards. That's him. So it's kind of cool. Really fun stories with him. And you can hear me do a ridiculous impression of somebody trying to get a book or get a game signed off by him. Anyway,
He wasn't having it that day. He was
no,
like,
he was not. He was, here was our shenanigans. Jim was way over here. And so, but he was a good sport for the rest of it.
I do love the fact that Gary Gygax's wife thought he was cheating on her.
Yeah.
And then ended up like following him into the basement of someone's house to discover the development of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. Bunch of nerds with dice. Yeah. Totally cheating.
Like just sitting there like, oh, he's cheating on me. He's with another woman. And you show up and it's just like 8 dudes in a room, just like, all right, so your attack
Hi, honey.
modifier is a +2. Just like,
So she's the original he's thinking about other women meme.
yes,
Exactly.
that's the best
Exactly.
part. I bet he's cheating on me
Why
with
doesn't
another
he love
woman.
me? I
So
just
if I
want to
get
go
a
to
+2
20.
great
It's
max.
like-
All right. So here's why we invited you guys here tonight. Other than these
Halfway
awesome
through the show,
conversations.
we're starting
Yeah,
the actual podcast.
Well, no, we've got 8 minutes till we're halfway
camera.
through.
There we go.
Better than we've had before. However, before you get to that, the link for the Critical Role dice bag is in the private chat.
Camera,
for you
please
guys.
focus.
Oh,
There we go.
All right.
well, thank
So,
you.
You're welcome.
so the original topic for tonight, before we went off on our D&D tangents and dice and all these other things, we like tangents, so don't take it badly.
Unless
We
they do
like
expect
tangents.
any less
I mean,
from us.
I can see
Tangents
the
are good.
connection between the two topics.
There's some connection.
Oh, there's topics. Oh yeah, there's
It's kind
connections.
of sci-fi. I mean, you know, we're
Some nerd stuff.
Hey, you know what? We've always said that we go into superhero, we go into sci-fi, we go into fantasy. It's all related.
And if you
So
think
it's all fun.
too about the mental stability of a Dungeons and Dragons player, it's not very far off from Moon Knight.
I mean, you're
Hey,
literally one person
speaking of the
being
topic of
multiple
tonight.
people.
Exactly.
All right. Look at Kathleen name dropping and getting us into our topic. All right, so yeah, let's talk about Moon Knight. That's the reason why we're all here. That's our topic for tonight. Episode 1 was just released on Disney Plus. Anybody have any thoughts, ideas, feelings
Can I
about the
actually go
episode?
first for once? Like,
Well, yeah.
Not allowed.
I mean, you did roll an 18.
I did roll an
You
18.
did you got the highest initiative. You
So-
have to first.
I literally went into it knowing nothing.
I rolled a peppermint. Does that count?
You go last. You go
Let me
after
roll
the
for
natural one.
the luck of a thief.
Tim got a 5. No, I have no clue about this character. I have never read his comics. I had no idea who he is. I had no idea anything other than Oscar Isaac. And that was about it. Like, that was I saw the trailer. I saw the pictures. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's Poe. Okay, we can try this. That was the weirdest crap I have watched in a very long time. That was bizarre. Ethan Hawke is terrifying. Like, I find him to be unsettling on screen anyway. I always have. But, like, his character is super creepy.
Well, the starting off, putting his foot into broken glass and the sandal didn't bode well for the rest of the show, in my opinion.
No, not at all.
It definitely set the stage for like what his character
Right.
is.
But
Yeah,
at the same
'cause-
time, I thought that whole broken glass thing would be kind of comfortable because it's sort of like the laying on the bed of needles. It distributes the pressure across the skin, so it's not actually going to break the skin. It's like foot
Nick, are you
acupuncture.
okay? Do you want to talk about something? We can like meet up after the podcast and like go over some stuff if you're not okay.
Do we need to call somebody to help you?
Let's see. We're this week is 76 episodes into funny science fiction, and Ben cracked the code in 23 minutes of this episode. So
Just relabel the podcast, just like Nick's descent into madness, episode whatever.
But I mean, I am excited to see what happens in the show. I am intrigued by it. I am not sure I'm going to be watching it right before bed anymore.
Yeah, yep. I also watched it at like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just like, huh.
it sits
Well,
with
I
you
guess
for a
I'm
little
up
bit.
for a bit.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, I don't scare easily, but it was the like, that's unsettling. Like,
It
The
doesn't have
hallway
horror.
scene.
Yeah, it didn't have horror vibes. It had thriller vibes to me, where it just it wasn't like blood and guts slashy, but it was
right.
very edgy of your seat the whole episode, wondering what's happening next. Where are we going? What's going on? Why are we flashing over here? Where'd the fish get the other fin? Things like that. Just
It is kind of that when you realize in like a horror movie or a thriller movie that the monsters are not actually the bad guy, but the people are. It was that sort of vibe to me. And yes, I would watch.
Yeah, and
That
Tim,
would
like
be-
I mentioned to you when you first pitched this to me as like we're going to talk about Moon Knight. I want to bring this up first. I'm an OG Moon Knight fan, so this is the final Moon Knight comic from 1993 or 2 or something.
Right.
Anyway, it's where he dies in it. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but the
30 years later.
yeah. So I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought that the story, if you don't know the comic, was meandering and really all over the place, and you need to be invested in wanting to watch this show. But I think it had elements of the comic in it. I think what was lacking was in the first episode, like you said, like the glass in the beginning. I know that we're trying to make it like uncomfortable, which I totally get, but it was I don't know. I don't think it nailed it. I think it was great, beautiful. It was great, good acting, whole thing overall. But I don't know. I think Marvel in general is stretching themselves too thin. And I don't want to get ahead of this topic because I know you guys want to talk about Ms.Marvel in a little bit, but they're sort of stretching the characters that they want to explore a little bit. Moon Knight's one of those characters that, he was an Avenger. He has other things that went on with him early in the publication. But I don't see it ever getting there. And, going from the Grant character to the Mark Spector character is weird to me.
the bounce back is kind of,
unless you understand what's going on. I don't know how you get, maybe eventually you will, but Daredevil was easy to digest. Punisher was easy. Spider-Man, obviously. This one, you really have to know a little bit more about it, and maybe they're banking on that.
Well, I think part of it is that like you mentioned, some of those characters, most of those characters are straight ahead characters. Yeah, they've got a name, but they also have their secret identity and all these other things. And the crossover between the two is easy because it's not a dissociative personality issue, which is what this seems to be at the moment. Some type of dissociative personality issue between Grant and Mark, and what's going on, and what the crossover is. One has, and seriously, the thing with the fish really does confuzzle me. How you have you have a fish with one fin and you have a fish with two fins. Anyway, that still gets me.
Right.
But just real quick before we go on, you can notice on the screen Jake the Jedi. It looks like he's going at 8:00 tonight, but he's got a big announcement. Check that out at 8:00 right after our show, right here on YouTube. Champions of the Force. You've seen Jake here on our show several times. He's a good dude, and hey, we're just happy to see him doing his thing over there. So yeah, check him out right after us.
I think I know what the announcement is, and I'm excited for it. It's gonna be great.
I do too. So I know what the announcement is, but I can't say anything. So
You're gonna have to just wait till 8:00.
You have to wait till 8:00. Yeah. So, but yeah. So for me, the only exposure that I had to Moon Knight coming into this, I never really read the comics growing up. I remember seeing the comics, and yeah, your knowledge is confirmed, Ben.
It's gonna be great.
I feel left out.
So, but so for me, the way that I knew of Moon Knight or anything about him was through the game Marvel's Ultimate Alliance, the Ultimate Alliance 1. He was one of the unlockable characters. But in that game, it doesn't really tell you anything about him. You just see a power set and things that you can do, and you go, kick bad guys' butts with him. That's all there really is to it.
Pretty broken too, if I could remember properly. Like when you finally unlock him, you're just like, oh, okay. Why have I not been playing this guy the whole time?
Right. So you mean I could have just won the whole game with him to start? Okay, great. Yeah, he was a little too OP. But yeah,
I knew about as much as Kathleen going into this, and only thing I knew was Moon Knight. I didn't even know his actual name.
Which honestly surprises me. And you want to know why, Nick? Because anytime we get into anything that's kind of off of center, the fringe elements of sci-fi and superhero, Nick's like, hold up, let me tell you their origin story, what's going on, and here's the 30 episodes of that character that you need to know about.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my limits, Tim.
It starts with opens up 150 slide PowerPoint. It's like, all right, so this is where the character's from.
Right. Got a clicker. Click. Next slide. So, but yeah, I was honestly surprised when we originally started talking about this that Nick was like, yeah, I'm going to have to watch that. I don't know anything about him.
Huh? And then it was super weird.
So I have a bare bones knowledge when it comes to Moon Knight. I never read his specific comics, but I've read the Secret Avengers, things like that, team ups where he was just in the comic. So I have a general understanding of the character, but I would not say that I know them. But it is one of the interesting things that I love in the comics is that canonically, him and Spider-Man dated for a little bit. It was just a one-off comment that Mockingbird asked a group of people, just has anyone here dated Moon Knight? And Peter Parker just went, little bit. And that was all he mentioned. There was not a single thing after that fact.
Let me read this right now. What the? Where was that comment?
What issue of what series or whatever that is, but I saw a picture of it recently and I went, I read that comic. Wait a minute.
Funny.
Okay. Yeah, but I know very little about Moon Knight other than, he's got the generic of higher endurance, kind of super strength, but not really. He's just generally tougher. And he has one really weird power. He can control moon rocks.
All right. Yeah.
He can literally just telekinesis only moon rocks. Which, by the way, for a human, moon rocks are just straight up poison. If you ingest or get cut with a moon rock, you just die. So
this is the problem with his comic book. It was weird.
He's such an odd character.
He's a weird character. This is why I don't understand why they made it into a series. Because there's other this is where I want to go with this. So again, I'm all for whatever's going on with Marvel right now. I think it's great. I mean, I love seeing the comics come to life. I think they're being spread a little too thin, but they're picking the weirdest stuff to make into TV. I mean, again, I'm not poo-pooing on it. I just don't get it. Moon Knight, Ms.Marvel, I don't understand them. I'd love to see X-Force would be a great, and
Mhm.
forget Deadpool, the Deadpool portion of it. There's so many other great characters in that comic book. X Factor, which is the original X-Men outside of the Xavier Wolverine team that ended up coming in like the late 70s and through the 80s. There's West Coast Avengers, which was this offshoot when the Avengers sort of split and did this other thing. I would love to see that kind of stuff go on. This, I don't know. This comic turned into a series is irking me to see it.
Well, I think part of the reason what they're doing with the Moon Knight thing, and this I've been reading up on it a little bit, and one of the theories that's been put out there, and it actually carries a little bit of weight for me, is that there's a couple of different characters that are being introduced throughout this year who are London based and who have some type of mythical tie-in or even a supernatural tie-in somewhere somehow, and that we might see basically they were kind of sub nicknamed the London Avengers, but the MI13, that group come in and be together, and then Moon Knight was part of that. And so you might see that happening potentially.
I mean, we do kind of have a framework for it already. Spoilers for anyone who has not seen the post-credit scene of Eternals, but we have a confirmed Black Knight, and we have oh god, my brain just died. Blade. There we go. Why did my brain just said nah? Delete that. So we have magic, we have vampires, and now we have Moon Knight, who fights monsters.
Right. So that might be the connection that we're hearing about. So that might be part of it.
Tim, I dropped a Facebook message for you because I found the comic picture that Ben was mentioning.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Bring it up.
But the way that I'm seeing Marvel go right now, they're grabbing a lot of, like, not counting Ms.Marvel because she actually has a huge fan base, but what they're trying to do is they're grabbing more obscure characters, because though they have like almost see, there it is. What do you mean by that, Spider-Man? What do you mean a little bit?
And that's like literally.
I've never seen that panel.
That is all he mentions on it. That's it.
The only thing that would have made that better is if he was holding up his fingers like this, a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
But the way that I see Marvel moving right now is they're grabbing slightly obscure characters. Oh, it was from Secret Wars. Wait,
Russell's nailed it.
Now the real question:
Yes.
Which Secret Wars was this? Nick Fury's or the Secret Wars? And in which case, which one of those?
Well, the Secret Wars 1 and 2. That's another comic. I'm so glad Russell's my buddy. I'm so glad he brought this up. Secret Wars 1 and 2 were one of the greatest comic. I mean, if you love the Infinity Gauntlet or whatever, this is the original version of that, and it's got the Beyonder in it. So the Beyonder plays like the Thanos character, right? He's this omniscient, omnipotent maniac, and but it's such a great storyline. I would love to see that made as well. But Ben, to your point, I'd love to see the original run of that, the 80s again version. I mean, I know they rebooted it, and I don't know that story as well.
I really didn't like the rehashing of it because it's just like, hey, what if we take this exact plot and not change really anything except like
put it on glossy paper?
Basically. Yeah, it just wasn't good. But I mean, speaking of Secret Wars, Secret Wars number 8, that was the first iteration of the symbiote suit,
the Spider-Man suit. Yeah.
Like it was the first time anyone saw what would become Venom.
When I went to Comic-Con a few years before the pandemic went down, I actually found a vendor that was selling those. And I had them growing up and they got damaged. I had a couple still saved, but I actually got to replace some of the ones that were damaged, which was kind of cool, which I never thought I would find Secret Wars comics, the original series there. And I did. I got to pick up a couple books, so it was kind of cool.
What's going on the screen right now?
So I threw that up on the screen, but that is not what I thought it was. So never mind. But this is something else that Marvel is talking about releasing on through Disney Plus. This is actually on Disney Plus's homepage. You can find it on there, talking about this is going to have Talos and Nick Fury. We started talking about, all I heard was Secret and Nick Fury, and I'm like, oh, there's something on Disney Plus, but it was the wrong something on Disney
Yeah.
Plus. So
And when you
wanna
mentioned,
you want to look up Nick Fury's Secret Wars.
right,
It's got Wolverine, Daredevil, Spider-Man. I think Black Widow's in there too. Right?
I did not read it.
I know Luke Cage is in there because he's a major plot point. A lot of bad stuff that happens. It's also I believe it's the first showing of Quake.
okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff with that.
and
What was
when you
I-
mentioned
Yeah.
the symbiote, I think that's where they're going with this, is because at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, there was a little bit of symbiote.
Yes. Yeah.
I have a thing with that where I'm just like, how does that work? Because technically speaking, if you really want to get into it, that's not Venom. That's Carnage. Because in the comics, when that happened, that is Venom having a baby, and that his first baby ended up becoming Carnage.
Right.
So is Venom in the MCU now, or is that not Venom, Carnage kind of thing, or I don't know.
It needs to be explained. That's for sure,
Yeah.
because it's all kind of very murky and
But we're
not sure.
We're not going to see another MCU Spider-Man for at least 5 years.
Probably, unfortunately.
Tom Holland said, like, taking a pause. The next time we're probably going to see him is the next Avengers movie, which we have no idea when that's going to happen.
It'll probably get sold to Fox and then canceled.
That's a spirit.
How dare you?
No, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it gets sold to Fox and Disney owns it, then then it's fine. And
But I think that we need to start pulling Deadpool into other shows too, because Deadpool and Spider-Man together is hilarious.
Oh, it would be so great. If they do,
I have
honestly,
dreams of that.
I don't want it to be Tom Holland.
Mm-mm.
I want Deadpool to get transplanted into the Andrew Garfield, like, Amazing Spider-Man universe. Because
I love Tom Holland, but
perfect together.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tom Holland,
funny.
but Andrew Garfield's sarcasm is so on point. Yeah.
The best way that I can
I know I'm not a
explain it
Garfield fan, Kathleen. I'm with you. I'm just not, I don't
How
hate
dare.
it. I just don't love
How
it.
dare.
No, I get that. I'm not a Toby fan, and I liked Andrew better than I liked Toby, and I like Tom way better than I like Andrew even. But I think that Andrew's sarcasm is better than.
Yeah.
There are things about Tom Holland, the way he portrays Spider-Man to me, that are classic Spider-Man. But the thing that he most misses on is the sense of humor and the sarcasm.
The quipping. Like,
I
Kristen
agree
and
with
got
that,
the show.
yes.
I'm just not a huge Spider-Man fan.
But as we've seen,
Oh,
they're
that's what
all
it is.
all right,
They're-
I'm gonna. It's been wonderful being here. I'm gonna leave the podcast.
I mean, I like Spider-Man, but I'm not like, I don't know.
You're not buying a suit and cosplaying him. Yeah, we get it. Yeah.
Mhm,
It-
mhm.
I was more X-Men growing up.
How dare
and
you make
then
fun of me like that?
It happens.
I mean-
Although, back to the cosplay thing, the cutting so you can get your thumbs out,
Yes.
brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna say, Nick?
so the we see that they are different Spider-Men, men's
Men.
spider
Spider people.
Spider-Mans.
Right.
Spider-Mans. The different Spider-Mans.
There actually is a character called Spiders Man, who is a collective of thousands of spiders that believe they are Peter Parker. And they
That is terrifying.
fit themselves into a Spider-Man suit, but they are just spiders.
That's
Tim,
my
if you don't bring the
hellscape.
panel up of the comic, I don't believe it. I'm just not gonna.
So wait,
That's my
Look
nope.
up
That's not
Spiders
happening.
Man.
That's my
I'm just
hellscape.
kidding.
So
That's like 3 gnomes in a trench coat on crack. That's
That is 3 gnomes in a trench coat, but as a absolute nightmare. Especially since I'm arachnophobic, and it's
Oh, yeah.
like,
terrifying.
yeah, it is terrifying. For reference,
I think
for
we're
a
killing Tim.
solid,
Oh
God, it was
hell
for a
no!
solid like 3
Jesus.
years when I was a kid that I had just constant spider nightmares for 3 years straight. Anytime I slept, spider nightmare. So
Well, kids, prepare not to sleep because holy crap!
Oh god.
Spiders Man.
Gross! Flesh-eating nightmare.
Yes.
Ugh.
I bet you there's like some underground cult that's like into all this. Like they're like all spiders.
This
man.
is just No.
They live in the
It's-
sewer.
It's also great because he doesn't actually like shoot webs. Like there's no thwip. He just outstretches the spiders and they grab onto a wall.
All right, I don't like this guy.
That's
All
what
I
you
hear in
see
my
that
head,
panel.
all I hear in my head is that dude with the outdoor church. And hell no. No.
Watch, he'll be in Moon Knight #2.
Burn it down!
Back to that, because I completely
Down.
forgot. Oh yes, how dare you make a very accurate comment, John? How dare you?
They're all men in tights.
I could throw
tight.
the suit on in
Roam
30
around New York
seconds. Don't
looking
make
for
me.
fights.
Actually, I can't. It's
Darth
soaking wet
Chaco
in my
says, "I
shower.
love spiders, man."
Oh, that's great.
Chaco, I'm worried for you.
But back to the point of what I think they're doing with Moon Knight. God, that was like 15 to 20 minutes ago that I started making this topic. But
How's
I
that
think
going
they're
for
doing,
you?
I
He's
think
been
they're doing
saving
the mystical, obscure characters on one side, while on the opposite side, they're setting up the Young Avengers. Because you have Ms. Marvel, you have Kate Bishop, you have Wanda's kids, you have so many like younger characters. Elijah Bradley, they're setting them up so you
Right.
can have the like sparkly, uplifting, lighthearted, like younger content. And then on the other side, they could fit a different demographic of like, oh, you want the dark, gritty? Here's Blade and Moon Knight killing vampires.
I can dig it. All right.
That's why I think they grabbed Moon Knight for TV, specifically because they're
did
like,
not think of
hey,
that.
we
Did not
need
think of
a dark Avenger.
Okay.
That
That's
makes
fair.
sense. I can see that.
Yeah.
All of that
All right,
coming
so-
around the same time that Disney has done their adult content split thing.
Right.
Makes sense.
With the TVMA editions of Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Defenders and that
Bring us all the nightmares.
Clay Fist and I refuse to
Continue
call him
finding
any,
ways
I
to
refuse
take
to
our
call him
money.
anything but Clay Fist because he's not.
Oh,
He's
I thought
He's-
I'm sitting there like, who are we talking about?
yeah. No, that
Good old
I
worst
that-
Defender adaptation ever.
that
Yeah.
I've mentioned this so many times, but I'm just gonna say it one more time for now. I'm sure I'll say this again later. But the worst adaptation of Danny Rand I've ever could have possibly been put on camera. Horrible. Anyway, Disney, if you're gonna do
grabbed
anything
him
with it,
because he's
please,
a pretty face. That's literally the only reason they grabbed him.
dear
I'm
God,
sure
please
the dude
recast
is a-
him.
Like, I'm sure he's a wonderful actor and a wonderful person. That was the worst show Marvel has ever produced.
Yeah.
And I will say this because I'm never going to invite him to be on the show. Hot garbage. Anyway,
Charlie Cox, though. Love that man.
Yeah, that's a different level.
that's
as
totally,
he says,
totally different.
he's a good lawyer.
That's right.
A really
Darn
good
it.
lawyer.
A really good lawyer.
Indeed. Indeed.
All right, so just in passing, just because we're running short on time here, I just want to mention that in case you haven't caught on, Ms. Marvel has had a little bit of a change of power set. I understand why they're doing it. You know, it's a cost issue, why they're getting rid of Embiggens. They're not necessarily getting rid of it, but now it's just the bracelets that they're using for her instead of, getting it the way that she may have gotten her powers before. And Ben is chomping at the bit to say something. So go, Ben.
I really don't like that they're doing that. I absolutely hate that they're doing that because, like, Kamala's powers in the comics, the person who created Ms. Marvel specifically said they wanted her powers to be weird and ugly because you always see, like, oh, it's a lady superhero. Their powers are sparkles and fantasy and, like, literally just Dazzler. But, like, with Ms. Marvel, they're like, no, her powers are ugly and weird for a reason. And she has to cope with that. When in the comics, she's an Inhuman. They don't have that in Marvel because weird things. She'll be, like, considered an enhanced. But when she gets put into the Terrigen cocoon and then comes out, she wants to feel strong and brave. She makes herself look like Carol Danvers.
Right.
That is a whole thing for like the first 2 or 3 issues. Is just she looks in a puddle, sees her reflection, and goes, "Oh my god!" and then almost like passes out because she's like the whole concept of what she sees as strong is not her.
So
Right.
I have one contention to that is they opened the multiverse for a reason.
Oh, absolutely.
It's now they can deviate from comics and be like, oh, it's just another universe instead of the one you're used to.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, I have no gripes against the show. I will absolutely watch the show. If it is good, then I will have no issue. My thing is, you're taking a major part of like
her story.
backstory. It's my same gripe with like how with the MCU Spider-Man, there's no mention of Uncle Ben. You know, the key thing to create Spider-Man. They vaguely mention it.
Yeah.
I understand they didn't want to rehash the scene of like how many times can you watch Uncle Ben die? Like,
But there has to be right. You got to put it in there somewhere because that is really a linchpin in Spider-Man's development. If you don't have him there,
yeah, I was a little disappointed that they took so long to bring that story into the Spider-Man, but with then with Aunt May. So,
but even then, they didn't even bring Uncle Ben in until like Tobey Maguire said, "Oh, my thing was Uncle Ben." And it's just like, oh, like Tom Holland's Peter Parker acknowledged, but that was it. But back with the Ms.Marvel, it's like you're taking out a huge
portion of her story,
character. Like that's the core foundation of her character.
Yeah,
I really hope it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see how it all works out because we're talking about a character who is a minority and see how they perceive themselves in this world and everything else, and that's a large, like you said, that's a very large portion of the story. She sees herself as this blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman. That's this image of strength, and then she's through learning her powers and learning everything else, she's able to accept who she is, what she is, and see herself as that image of strength. And it's a really cool story. So I am kind of curious how they're going to alter the story and how they're going to make it work. So, but there's a lot of moving parts there. And then sorry to rush through these things, but we're just gonna power through just because we're running short on time. Apologize. But then also want to make sure that everybody is acknowledging the fact that Obi-Wan has been moved from May 25th now to May 27th, which is also the day that Netflix is going to release Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1. And they moved it off of the 40th anniversary of Star Wars by 2 days to compete with Netflix.
Are we 100% sure that they did that specifically for that reason?
That's the only thing that I can assume is why they did it. I don't know. It doesn't seem to, in my mind, unless somebody has something else they can tell me, it doesn't seem to be a logical reason, because now we went from having one episode released on Wednesday to 2 episodes being released on Friday, and Friday is the same day that Netflix is releasing Stranger Things. And I think they kind of want to go ahead
or a whole season.
To be fair, I would say whole season, but it's Obi-Wan, so I'm going to go with the 2.
But aren't they trying to line it up with Star Wars Celebration?
It might be.
That might be it.
Oh, May the 29th? Yeah. Oh, May the 4th.
It's May 26th to the 29th.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. In that case, it's Star Wars Celebration. They're probably going to do a screening of it. So that makes a little bit more sense. But also, isn't Ms.Marvel coming out on a Wednesday?
On June 8th, and will be on Wednesday.
But I know... I think what they're trying to do is like Marvel shows are Wednesday, Star Wars stuff is Friday.
And if that's what they're doing,
Loki
I'm fine
came
with
out
that.
On Wednesday, and then Mando came out, like Mando and Boba came out on Friday.
That actually kind of makes sense. If they're going to do Marvel Wednesday, Star Wars Friday, that's cool. But
I'm
they
cool
also
with that.
don't do this thing where they, communicate.
Yeah.
What they do is just typically after the fact.
They need to deal with their generational traumas and figure out how to talk about their feelings.
Don't we all?
Not really a thing.
They also are releasing a Lego Star Wars game tomorrow.
Yes, I have no money, but I want it.
Well, what's money?
Audience, you want to buy me a Lego Star Wars game?
Adulthood in a nutshell. I want it, but I don't have money.
Disney needs to watch Encanto. I think they have.
Oh, God.
I think they have. All right. Just real quick before we get into our conclusion here, we've got a couple of trailers we want to play of stuff coming up here on Funny Science Fiction. Mike, remind everybody about your book, please.
Yeah, sure. Again, so it's The Slow Midnight on Cypress. Oh, I think it's blurring, but it's there somewhere. It's A Slow Midnight on Cypress Avenue. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes & Noble. Check me out on Twitter at Mike Figs, or on Instagram. For some reason, I had to be Mike A Figs. So Mike, the letter A Figs. Check me out there. And yeah, I hope you guys check the book out. Looking to develop it into a film, and that's hopefully coming next year. And
Awesome.
we'll talk all about that. Yeah, when it gets a little closer. But thank you.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Mike.
Yeah, man.
All right, Ben, remind the peoples.
You can find me on TikTok at Hardy_healer. I do a bunch of cosplay stuff. I do a bunch of ranting, nerd stuff. It's great. Check me out. I am still currently going viral for a video I did about how to put on a Spider-Man suit. I think I'm at. Hold on. Let me just double check real quick because I'm terrified. Oh my god! I haven't looked at my phone this whole time. I have over 100 notifications. I'm at 34,000 views on that video. With
You were at 25 an hour ago. That is awesome.
I'm going
Well
viral
done.
for that. Check it out.
Yeah.
Like, comment, follow me, please. I need the validation.
And next time on Hardy Healer, we'll talk about why Nick has issues.
Issue number 1.
We will see how many times Nick says something that makes Ben go,
Oh, you
I
poor
love how
baby.
that is a thing that you now just associate with me every time. It's just like,
it's just it's a very distinct thing, and I don't know why, but
It's a Ben move. It's the Ben
it is
move.
a meme. It's not like I'm not doing the Xavier thing. It's more like I cannot process this. Give me a minute, kind of a vibe.
Kathleen,
like existential dread too with the
is that a real bookshelf behind you?
no.
I was gonna say, where the hell's my book up there?
Just tape it to the green screen behind you, and it'll just look
Yeah,
like
I'll
it's
just-
spaced out.
Where should I be now? I'll just there.
Yeah,
See? Nope.
there you go. Okay.
There's no bookshelf
Where's
there.
my book? It's not up with the bat sign. Damn it!
Nice. All
So
Nick,
last
take us through
Friday-
reviews.
So last Friday, our guest was Eric Avari. We talked with Eric about his roles, his voice work on Destiny 2, and he even shared with us some behind-the-scenes notes about being on the set for the movie Stargate and why he hates the movie Casino Man. And
there's
you
a-
can go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You can still find that episode of Funny Science Fiction on our YouTube channel and your favorite audio podcast providers.
There's a great story in there about him trying to figure out what all his lines in Destiny 2 are about and what the story is behind them, his motivation for them. And there's also a great story in there about why Encino Man set his career back 5 to 10 years and why he hated but yet loves Brendan Fraser. So it's a great story.
That
Yeah,
man
absolutely.
owes me so many legendary items.
I may have
purples turn to blue. I can never forgive him.
Yes, Russell. He has been in so many things. We don't even have time to mention them all, but he's an amazing actor, and we have such an amazing conversation with him. So strongly recommend everybody check out the interview with Eric Avari. A lot of good laughs in there.
We should do our own version of Benedict Cumberbatch reading the phone book with Nick reading somebody's IMDb list.
Oh,
Sounds
boy.
entertaining to me.
I could do that.
All right, but guys, remember that your subscription to our YouTube channel is a major help. So don't forget to click like and subscribe when you watch our videos, especially the one coming up this week. So this week's guest is an accomplished voice actor with many roles that we are sure that you know.
I would like to add that there was a moment when we did this, we all were like, oh my God, you're that voice?
I know! It was a super weird moment. But the one that he is most known for in our circle is the Jedi in Clone Wars. that everyone hates and loved to hate.
Well, hey there. How you doing? I'm Dave Fenoy, and you're listening to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast. Did I get it right? Up your nose with a rubber hose. But wait, there's more. And if you order right now, not only will you get these 75 great hits, but shipping and handling is absolutely free.
Where's Master Allen? I know exactly what he would say.
That is something you can't say on Funny Science Fiction.
It is something.
I want to, but
and it's something he has said several times. Actually,
well,
he
you
does
can
it
say
every
it on Funny
Thursday.
Science Fiction as long as you buy us a coffee.
There you go.
I don't have money.
He says it every. And if you're wondering, go to Alan White Level Up Lightsabers on TikTok every Thursday, and you will find out what he says about Pong Krell. But yeah, so this Friday is our conversation with Dave Fenoy. You may know him as Korath from the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series. You've probably seen him in multiple video games like Metal Gear Solid 4, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft, and of course, the Jedi we all love to hate, Pong Krell from Star Wars Clone Wars. And if you didn't pick up on it, he was also the Time Life CD guy. But wait, there's more.
The voice that scared you awake at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. So yeah, John agrees. Where's Master Allen when you need him? But yeah, so we have a great conversation with him. That will be available this Friday morning. You'll be able to listen to it on your favorite audio podcast provider. But of course, you can check it out here, the video of that conversation on our YouTube channel. Be sure to like and subscribe as you watch. But,
also,
yeah,
you get to learn where his influence came from for Pong Krell.
His inspiration for Pong Krell is actually pretty cool.
It will blow your mind.
My mind, it literally was blown. I was not expecting his answer.
There was a big old error code 404 brain not found flashing above Tim.
Dial-up noises in the background.
Yes.
I was on. It makes sense when you step back and you look at it after the fact. It totally makes sense. But I was a bit brain broken for a couple minutes. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right, but that is our show. We did it. We survived.
And our guest even stayed for the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
thank you guys for joining us tonight.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thanks, Mike.
I love talking to you guys. Please have me back. I will talk this all day and night.
Oh, absolutely. We love having
there
both you guys on.
There will
be
and
multiple
Ben, nice
returns.
meeting you. Nick, nice meeting you.
Same to you.
So.
That was awesome.
All right, guys, that's going to conclude us for Funny Science Fiction Podcast. Come back next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FunnySci-Fi, or you can go to DraytonAllen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.